G's to bounce, 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 bounce. So let me give you something to think about. Inundate your mind with intentions to turn you out. Can't forget to focus on the picture in front of me. You agree with DVD on digital TV screen. Satisfy my appetite with something spectacular. Check your vernacular, and then I get back to you with diamond-like precision. Insatiable is what I envision. Keep the tech acquisition from your friend's expedition. Damn it, I'll put your ass to work. Comb your nappy head till it hurts. They try to end up in my world, a reputation known as the untouchable girl.
Miss Lisa Left Eye Lopez was more than just 1/3 of the platinum-selling group TLC. She was a dope lyricist outside the group. From Keith Sweat to Little Kim to Donnell Jones to Melanie C, any single she appeared on was destined to become a smash hit. So why in the hell didn't her solo career prosper as anticipated? Well, there are a few factors, and we're going to get into that in this video. Also, Lisa was a businesswoman with many endeavors, as her goal was to improve the overall quality of life on Earth, and we're going to dive deep into each one of her endeavors, so sit back and enjoy the ride. Growing up in Philly, Lisa always embraced creativity, whether it was through art or music. She had a passion for expressing herself through her many talents, and drew paintings, played a wide range of instruments, sang in the children's choir, acted in several plays, did some modeling, and was creating her own dance videos decades before it was popular. But her ultimate talent was rapping, and she performed raps at several events, and by late 1991, she had moved to Atlanta, joined TLC as Left Eye, the rapper of the group, and a year later, the trio had released their debut album and were enjoying a slew of hits, as people love seeing the dynamics of a girl group that was singing and rapping. Artists like MC Lyte took a special interest in Lisa's talents, and the following year she recruited Lisa to be featured on her soon-to-be hit song called Roughneck, and Lisa would rap the second verse, which was sure to snag her first hit outside of TLC. But ultimately, TLC's overbearing manager at the time, Pebbles, caught wind of the track and would only clear the feature if she herself received 80% of the total royalties from the song, leaving MC Lyte, the producers, and anyone else involved splitting the remaining 20%, which was a no-go, and so the collaboration never happened. But Lisa would rap her unreleased verse in the 1994 film House Party 3 in the song Make Some Noise, which will forever be a cult classic. TLC would fire their manager, but in order to buy back their namesake, which cost $1 million per letter, they would have to fork out $3 million, as thankfully there is only 3 letters in TLC. With Pebbles now out of the picture, Left Eye would be featured on Keith Sweat's 1994 single, How You Like It, and appeared in the song's music video. The hit peaked at number 48 on the US Billboard Hot 100, number 9 on the Billboard R&B singles chart, and number 71 on the British charts, cementing her first hit outside the group. In the early stages for TLC's sophomore album, CrazySexyCool, they would record a song titled Caught in Your World, a collaboration with John B, which features mostly Lisa's vocals. However, continuous ups and downs in her highly publicized rocky relationship to Falcons wide receiver Andre Rison resulted in the accidental torching of his $1 million mansion. Lisa received probation for the crime, and part of her sentencing was to serve time at a diversion center. And while she was away, the direction of the album's sound did change during the recording process. Most of the songs for this new album would now center around T-Boz as the main vocalist, but Lisa would get scheduled supervised visits to the studio, where she would lay her raps down and would have a verse on TLC's biggest hit of all time, Waterfalls, which has earned numerous awards and accolades. But out of the 4 singles from the diamond-selling album, this would be the only one that she would appear on, which was a complete 180 from the first album that also had 4 hits where she appeared on all but one of them. As a matter of fact, for the entire 16 tracks that would make the final cut on the album, Lisa would only appear on 4 songs and an interlude, which would set the tone for a trend that would be present for every TLC album to come. But on this album, she did do a verse for the remix to the single Creep, but it was in protest of the song's message, which involved cheating on a cheater, and Lisa wasn't down with that. The remix would be available on Creep's single release. Meanwhile, the negative image that she obtained in the public eye from her bouts with alcohol was reflected in a solo song she did called My Secret Enemy, set to also appear on the album, but was instead placed as a B-side on the Red Light Special single.
Number one, I had a problem because I wasn't on the album as much as I would have liked to have been. And so that was my problem. That was my personal problem with the project. I guess when people look at TLC, they see something that's authentic and they can reflect on the personal problems that we have, or even if they're not problems, personal things that we go through, and it goes with the music. We're authentic. You know, we speak from the heart, and you know it because you've seen us outside of the group.
TLC would take a 5-year hiatus, and during this time, Lisa would grow and discover so much more about herself as an artist, media mogul, and spiritual being in general. She had already dropped a flaming verse against the powers that be on the 1995 hit Freedom from the Black Panther soundtrack, but beyond her lyricism was a need to help others realize their dreams and tap into their full potential, and she made sure to put everyone on. She would start her own production company, Left Eye Productions, where she founded a host of different artists from all around the world and of different genres. Her goal was to help mentor, manage, and promote these talents in the industry. Many acts were close friends of Lisa's, and she even sought to get Andre Rison started in rapping, as he could put a few words together on the mic. But Lisa was equally as passionate about putting her family on. The first act was her cousin Tangi Foreman, who had lost her infant son Jose in a tragic accident, and Left Eye would rap while Tangi sang in tribute to Jose on the song No Tighter Wish, which was featured on the 1996 Kazam soundtrack. She would also get a bit creative on the spiritual side, providing the hook to her brother Ronald's song, Spiritual Warfare, which went a little something like this.
Give it up, give the praises up to Jesus. Give it up, give the praises up to Jesus. Give it up, give the praises up to Jesus. Let you know that he's in the house.
Ronald would tour college campuses and small venues rapping his verses about Christ live, while Lisa's vocals from the hook would play in the background. He never laid vocals down on the recording, so only the instrumental and Lisa's vocals from the hook would be leaked online. And her uncle Kyle had a keen eye for style, so in 1997, he would launch his clothing line, Kyle Young, and Lisa would model and wear his designs often as promo throughout the years. Many of his designs would appear in many magazines, with the very first promotional shoot appearing in XXL magazine in September of 97. That same year, she would also team up with Lil' Kim for the remix to her song Not Tonight, which was called Ladies Night, an anthem for the women. The song also featured Missy Elliott, Da Brat, and Angie Martinez. The remix would peak at number 6 on the Billboard Hot 100 and number 2 on the Rap Songs chart, and was nominated for Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group at the 40th Annual Grammy Awards. The song also made the top 10 in New Zealand and the top 20 in the UK. The video would feature all 5 women delivering their verses, and for Left Eye's portion, she brought the whole family with her, including the brand new trio Black that she and her brother discovered, and also featured her friends, her sister, and cousins all donning gear representing Left Eye Productions, and their names written on the back. Lisa would also bring her friend Trina, who she met in the Diversion Center and became close friends with, as Lisa felt that if you was in the trenches with her, you was gonna eat good at the table with her. Also at that time, websites were fast becoming the easiest way fans could connect with their favorite celebrities, and it was highly important that the artist owned the domain names to prevent people from buying it ahead of time and selling it back for a ridiculous amount.
One day, me and my team, we looking for my name and stuff, and we like, so we can't find it. So it said that someone bought it. And so when we talking to people, they're like, yeah, you might have to spend a good $20,000, $10,000, get your name. I'm like, fuck it, well, we gotta do it, you know. we need this website. Look at we call up the number.
Yeah.
And like, she like, Kim. I'm like, Left Eye, you bought my damn name. But she's a fly ass friend for that shit.
Wow.
She said I bought all my friends' names so I could give it to them, so that she was smart. She knew all of this before it was gonna happen.
Lisa was business savvy and made sure to keep up with the ever-changing ways of the shady industry, especially after TLC had sold 10 million records of their CrazySexyCool album and had to file for bankruptcy shortly thereafter. She made it her mission to ensure others weren't taken advantage of. She would appear in the music video for the collaboration with Old School, Escape, and Keith Sweat called Am I Dreaming, and would lend a hand on Will Smith's Big Willie style, showing love for their hometown of Philly, and also appeared on the outro to Method Man's Cradle Rock, and she dropped some serious knowledge for the youngins on that one. But she wasn't done with discovering new talent. She would go on to host MTV's music competition for underground artists called The Cut. It was one of the first of its kind in a long line of television contests that would later include the likes of American Idol, The Voice, and America's Got Talent. This show introduced the world to artists like Anastasia, Neo, and Aloe Black. Around this time, she started gearing up for the release of her solo album called Fantasy1.com, as she liked the idea of virtual fantasies becoming realities and using music and the World Wide Web as a means of escapism, but for the good. For this project, image-wise, she wanted to incorporate elements of being an army warrior in tribute to her late father, who was a sergeant. She was also heavy into graphic designing, and many of her promo shots would include animation. She would record songs like Let's Just Do It, which features T-Boz, a song called Cherry Cherry featuring Mr. Drick, Bounce, and Nasty Girl. She would collaborate with the rapper Bootleg on the song Fantasies, which was a bop, y'all. I love that song. And he had planned to include her on his upcoming album. But unfortunately, L.A. Reid, co-founder of the label LaFace Records, who Lisa and TLC were signed to, felt like Bootleg's recent release from prison and gangsta status was not a good look for Lisa, and so the verse would be replaced by rapper Shawnna instead. And along with that, LaFace, who were funding the recording for Lisa's project, made her put the album on back burner, as TLC were gearing up to release their third album by this point. Hoping to profit off of the success, Lisa was initially all for it, as she, being the creative force behind the group, has named the previous TLC albums. She wanted this next album to center around the fans, who had held the group down over the 5-year break, and sought to merge her fantasy concept into TLC, calling the album Fan2C. And according to TLC's main producer, Dallas Austin, Lisa wanted a website where the fans could be able to create their own fantasies as well, but the group weren't on board with it. And in a trio, every decision came down to majority rules. Now each member was slated to have at least one solo song for this next album. Lisa herself submitted 8 tracks, including Let's Just Do It, but all 8 would be rejected as the team felt like they weren't up to par, which understandably caused Lisa to walk out on the project, and at one point, she had even wrote the label saying that she was quitting the group, which froze all funding for the project until Lisa was back in the fold. And when Lisa was back on board, she decided she would show up whenever she wanted to. During this time, to coincide with the futuristic theme of the album, Dallas would introduce a robot by the name of Vic E, and while they was waiting on Lisa, the robot instead would perform the rap on Silly Ho, which would be released as a promo single. By the time Lisa arrived, she said, hell, let's make her a full character then. And by early 1999, a song called It's Alright, featuring all 3 girls and produced by Dwight Reynolds, who was a good friend of Lisa and was from Andre's hometown, as Lisa had been trying to put him on the project, was initially intended to be the first single for what was now titled FanMail. However, the politics surrounding the label wanting to only deal with their hand-chosen producers meant that the song would be scrapped from the album entirely, and No Scrubs would be the lead single. Lisa fought hard to have creative control, but when the album finally dropped, much like CrazySexyCool, out of all 17 tracks, Lisa would once again only be featured on 4 songs, and 2 interludes this time. Also, for the FanMail intro, they would reuse an audio clip of an interview where Lisa was speaking about the group receiving endless fan mails and letters. So technically she was on that track as well. Now she would deliver raps for the 2 biggest hits, No Scrubs and Unpretty, but only on the remixes, which were not available on the album. Back then, wasn't no SoundCloud or streaming service to simply click over to the next page and listen to the remix versions. You had to go out and buy the CD single apart from the album to hear Left Eye, a group member, be featured in her own group's hit. Sure, the radio was another outlet, but many radio stations wouldn't play the rap versions of the song. Now you could wait till the music video came on TV, but even with the Unpretty video, most TV channels would edit out her speaking and fight scenes as they simply didn't have enough time to air the full footage. And many fans to this day don't know that certain scenes even exist. Lisa was just being snubbed all around. Exasperated, she would open up in a Vibe magazine article not long after the album's release, saying, "I cannot stand 100% behind this TLC project and the music that's supposed to represent me." Now, though this statement ruffled many feathers, Lisa stuck to her guns.
Well, actually, I didn't express interest in cutting out on the group. I just said that I couldn't 100% stand behind this project, which is something that I still stand behind. I still stand behind that statement, but everyone's, taking it in the wrong way. Actually, Vibe magazine is the one who printed in a way where you would perceive that I was cutting out. But no, I support my group members. It's the process in which this project came together that I cannot stand behind. It's a lot of political things that, you know, went on in the making of the album. I think TLC is a #1 group. We are the biggest girl group in history, the largest selling group in history. We deserve the respect that we have worked for. We deserve a certain amount of control that we fought for. Those are the things that I was speaking about.
Still, TLC had obligations they had to fulfill and promo tours. So she still showed up because the money was pouring in, which allowed her to pour into her many other endeavors. Her group Black had finally dropped their debut, and Lisa would be featured in 2 of their music videos. They served as a creative outlet for her, as whatever ideas she couldn't get to pursue in TLC, she would vicariously live out through her mini creation, Black. But she began to feel resentful at the fact that most of the focus from her label wasn't on her putting together her frequently delayed solo record, but rather on her being in this group where she feels like she doesn't have a creative voice. The group would film the video for the 3rd single, Dear Lie, where she was having to once again mime to the other group members' vocals. She began to act out, showing up late, filming a few scenes, and then dipping out early. Yet, she was the most iconic part of that entire music video. Around this time, she would be tapped to be featured on Donnell Jones' hit, You Know What's Up, as they were label mates, and he handpicked Lisa personally, and she had been waiting to unleash her creativity, so much so that she ended up writing 20 bars for the song. And the song went on to be a massive hit, reaching the top 10 in the US, Belgium, Ireland, Canada, and Europe, and was certified platinum in the UK. However, the internal infighting within the group persisted, and Lisa skipped out on a very important appearance on TRL and a sit down with Entertainment Weekly. And when that publication asked T-Boz and Chili, hey, where's Lisa? They figured they were done holding in their feelings and went on a 45-minute rant about Lisa, and at one point even broke into an a cappella version of the OJ's hit, Backstabbers. Chili would comment that Left Eye is concerned with Left Eye, and T-Boz said that Left Eye just didn't respect the group's union. They would go on to list several transgressions perpetrated by Lisa, who was angry at the label because they weren't prioritizing her solo efforts, nor were they giving her much creative control on the group's projects. But her acting out was affecting the whole group's pockets. And even Dallas would chime in saying, hey, at the end of the day, all of them know that TLC is their home. Left Eye acts up and cries wolf one minute, then is back in the group the next minute. She does it for attention, but she knows that if she drops out of this thing completely, that attention is not going to be there. Lisa would catch wind of these comments and decided to put her frustrations on wax and recorded a scathing diss record called Eye for an Eye, a clever play on her stage name. But it's been said that in the song she came for everybody, the girls, Dallas, the label, la-di-da-di, everybody, and it was a heated venting session, which was like sweet therapy. But she knew it was better off in the archives and far away from the public's hands. Instead, she would challenge Tion, Player Watkins, and Rosanda Hader Thomas, who is Chili, to a competitive 3-CD set that contains 3 solo albums, one from each member of the group, and for the fans to pick a winner, as doing so will fulfill TLC's contract obligations, and this would give Lisa a chance to finally show the world what she was made of on her own. And judging from her lyrical content on You Know What's Up, Fantasies, and Ladies Night, she would have been a force to be reckoned with at that time. She also wanted Dallas, the manipulator Austin, to produce the record at a fraction of his costly rate, since he had a habit of overcharging.
But Dallas tried to charge us about $4.2 million, so hey, don't get mad at me, but I had to tell it like it is. So.
However, the TLC team thought it was a silly attention ploy, not to mention it would cause further division within the camp, who by this time were on their first leg of the FanMail tour, which Lisa did all of the stage designs and would incorporate magic skits in her sets. With the infighting and short notice announcement for ticket sales, they had a rough start getting off the ground for the first leg, but the second leg was phenomenal, becoming one of the highest selling tours by a female group. By the time FanMail's era wrapped up in early 2000, she was on to bigger and better things.
P.S. I was behind you, girl. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in Philly knows. But how was it touring with these wenches? I mean, you know what I'm saying? If you say all this stuff about them.
Look, the way I handle my business is when it's time to go to work.
There it is.
It's time to go to work.
Get the money.
I try to put all personal stuff to the side. I don't get caught up in my emotions, and I handle my business. And that's how I look at all things that I do.
But do you all just do the show and then don't talk to each other after the show? Do what you got to do on stage and then bounce?
Oh, no, it's not that deep. I mean, unless we just had an episode, you know, we might not speak to each other, but...
Okay.
Hey, we get over things quickly.
Right.
Sometimes the media can make things seem like they're lasting a little bit longer than what they are lasting, but...
Yeah.
You know...
Have you guys ever had fist fights?
Lisa had been featured in Toni Braxton's song Gimme Some, which was a nice bop as well, man. That should have been a single for real. She would also appear on NSYNC's song Space Cowboy, which was originally intended to be the second single on their No Strings Attached album, but instead they would go with the song It's Gonna Be May. Now, Lisa would go on to appear on Maya's album, Fear of Flying, and would also appear alongside her group members one final time for a collaboration with the Atlanta-based rap group Goody Mob, which CeeLo Green was a part of. He had known the women since he sang background on Waterfalls. The song Ghetto Enough would be the last music video to feature all three members of TLC. By now, Lisa was in full solo mode and would have the biggest hit of her solo career alongside Spice Girls member Melanie C in the song Never Be the Same Again. The powerful fusion between members of the top 2 selling girl groups in the world resulted in the song reaching top 10 in over 20 countries and giving Melanie her first solo #1 in 6 countries, earning platinum status as well. Lisa would go on a promo tour with Melanie throughout Europe and did several photo shoots and interviews in promotion of the single, and the two had a blast, even though there was initial hesitation from Melanie's crew having Lisa on the record, mostly due to the negative image that the media portrayed of her through her series of misunderstandings throughout the years. Melanie, however, like the others, had personally scouted out Lisa for her fun, vibrant, eclectic, and creative personality. Lisa's talents would also be elected to host the UK's Mogul Awards that year, where she would perform her hit with Donnell Jones. She would also co-host the Source Awards that year, and you know she had to shout out Uncle Kyle. L.A. Reid, who is now the head of Arista Records, which had bought out LaFace by this point, said, "Aight, we see you making things happen. I'm gonna front you this advancement for your solo thingamajig. Cook something up and let me hear it." But by now, Lisa was on a whole different vibe spiritually. She had made numerous trips to Honduras to meet with Dr. Sebi and had incorporated some of his teachings into her daily routines and had an entire spiritual awakening. Her diet changed along with her appearance, and her lyrics and subject matter to her creations reflected that. She came up with A New Star Is Born as the title, and the title track was a song where she was communicating to the spirit of her deceased father. As part of Dr. Sebi's teachings, incorporated her finding peace and forgiveness with her father. It is believed that another track from this session was Never Will I Ever, which would be released and remixed a decade later. But if you listen to Lisa's lyrics on that joint, you know that she gets pretty deep spiritually. She said she had presented her creation to her label and that it had scared L.A. Reid. He feared that the album was going in a direction that was too dark, so he would reach out to Biggie's former manager, Mark Pitts, and asked him to become Lisa's A&R person to help brighten up the album more to everyone's liking. And Lisa was open to the criticism and additional resources to expand her vision for the project, which would go on to be titled Supernova.
Because a supernova it's a rare star, and it increases its normal shine up to 1 billion times in brightness. So when I was recording this album, you know, it's very important to me that I reach as many people as I can through my music and through love and through healing. You know, so I want that same energy that I have and the same love that I put into my record to bleed from the CD and out of your speakers and into your system, you know. So when I recorded every song on the album, you know, no matter what I was talking about, whether it be a party track or a relationship track or just questioning our existence, I tried to do things from a very positive point of view because there's always more than one way to look at stuff.
And light carries information. Without hesitation, vibrations gleam through the constellation. Manifestation stimulated, better destination. Total creation, realization to mental concentration. Alienated from the truth is why we conversate. Saving the nation full of youth is for my observation.
For this project, Lisa wanted to do more than just put out an album. She believed that she could improve the overall quality of life for mankind. She would appear on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to fund one of her many charities.
You're here, you're in the hot seat.
Nice to be here.
And you're looking very fine in that outfit.
Yeah.
Tyrese is still staring at you, you know. The hot seat right now and going for $2,000. And incidentally has her first solo album coming out.
Yes, I do.
Supernova.
Yes, it is.
Must be exciting for you, huh?
Very exciting.
Now, are you on a fast right now? Somebody said you're
Yes,
fasting.
I am.
How long is the fast going to last?
40 days.
And where are you now?
11.
And how does it feel?
It feels wonderful.
Do you have any food at all? Any substance?
Yeah, well, no, I drink juice, water, drink sea moss.
Sea moss.
Sea moss.
And what does that do for you?
Sea moss, well, see, the body is comprised of 102 minerals, and sea moss has 99 of them.
No kidding.
So it's
So you're feeling good?
yeah.
Would you recommend this to a guy like Tyrese?
I would recommend it for everyone.
Just give me a little sea moss backstage.
I got some.
She was so ahead of her time, y'all. Who you know was talking about the health benefits of sea moss in 2001? Lisa, that's who. She founded her website, Ionetics, and in addition to music samples, updates on the album processes, games to play, and trivia for entertainment, she also listed ingredients to healthy meals that actually taste good. Now 20 years later, a few TikTokers had stumbled across those ingredients, as now so many people are into healthier eating lifestyles, and they tried it and posted their results, and they loved it, just like she knew they would. Now Lisa also knew to target the youth, as they were the future. She had announced that she wanted to create a cookbook and start a healthy kids cooking show called Chef Eye, where the kids would come on and learn how to cook healthy food. She was in preparations to create a recipe contest as well for the kids. She told fans in the message boards that she had recorded a pilot for the Chef Eye show. Now, whatever happened to that pilot is unknown. She knew in order to fully garner their attention, she would have to appeal to the kids in popular media too. She had already appeared in an episode of Cousin Skeeter, and many of you know TLC sang the theme song to All That back in '95. She, along with Aaliyah and Beyonce, had all auditioned for the role of Valerie in Josie and the Pussycats movie, but the role would go to Rosario Dawson, who was a friend of Aaliyah's. Lisa had also informally adopted Trina's daughter, Snow, and was a godmother to several different children. And when it was time for the first single for her album, it would be a toss-up between her heavy hitter song, Hot, which was produced by Rockwaller, and she killed it on that song, by the way, and everybody wanted it to be the first single. So much so that radio stations began playing it, and BET had listed it on their Top 20 compilation album, Volume 7. However, to capitalize off of the summer season, they would go with the kid-themed Block Party, which was described as a summer anthem with a slinky groove and a great novelty hook set in a ghetto Sesame Street. The song incorporated elements of Earth, Wind & Fire's drum song. The song would also play when Lisa made an appearance at the Teen Choice Awards that year, and the video, which was directed by good old Hype Williams, was done on green screen and takes place in the wonderful world of Left Eye.
Hi, I'm Left Eye, and this is my video. It's called The Block Party, and it was produced by Salam Remy. And it's a great song, and it's a great video, and the video was shot by Hype Williams, directed by The Hype and I, EYE, and I hope you like it. Where is Hype? It's a big block party, first of all. There's a lot of children involved. The song touches on, you know, things that you did when you were a child, so we want to incorporate the children.
What do you think of the video?
Huh?
Be good?
I like it a real lot. I like the song a real lot.
This is Snow. Say hi. I roll this and it unfolds and it turns into a big dodecahedron, which is what this is called. And we go inside and we party our butts off.
It would chart in the Netherlands, Scotland, and Australia, and hit the top 10 in the UK, but missed the mark entirely in the US, and the label wasn't too pleased about that. MTV would celebrate their 20th anniversary and ask TLC to come and perform their biggest hit, Waterfalls, so they reunited for what would be their final performance together. And Lisa would use this opportunity to promote her solo album by using the instrumental to her Hot record over her rap portion.
I seen a rainbow yesterday, but too many storms have come and gone, leaving a trace of nothing. God given rain, because I like to stand. I pray all day fade away, celebrate for the sunny days. When life is promises true, only my faith can undo the many chances I to bring my life to a new clear blue and unconditional sky. And dry the tears from my eyes, no more long cries. My only bleeding hope is for the folk who can't go with such an enduring pain that it keeps them in the pouring rain. Who's to blame for two and gain into your own vein? What a shame to shoot a name for someone else. You claim the name to stay in time. What? I say the system got your victim to true. Believe in yourself. It's up to me.
Homegirl didn't come to play, you hear me? And she made sure to let everyone know about her upcoming album.
There's definitely a lot of singing involved, and I'm actually doing some of the singing myself, which is something I don't do in TLC.
August 16th, 2001 was very symbolic to Lisa, as she was big into numerology, and 16 in 2001, add them all together, it equals 10, which in numerology is symbolic of a star. And the album is called Supernova. Now, August 16th was her father's birthday and her grandfather's death date. As a matter of fact, they both died on each other's birthdays and were both 40 when they died. So there was magic in those numbers to Lisa, and she had plans to release her album on that date as it would be prosperous. She had also planned to sell upwards of 20 million records. There was just one problem. It fell on a Thursday, and back then, albums were released on Tuesdays. So the label would release it on August 14th instead, and only internationally for some whack-ass reason. Songs like Life is Like a Park, featuring Carl Thomas, and Head to the Sky, featuring Black, harps on the importance of maintaining a positive outlook through life's highs and lows. Songs like Untouchable, which features Tupac, and Universal Quest, harp on spirituality. The album also had featured Andre Rison and Lisa's cousin Tangi Foreman. The songs Hot and Let Me Live would have been the best singles choices for the album and would have done well if they were promoted properly. The album was very experimental, and most listeners of 2001 weren't mentally prepared to analyze material this complex and truly appreciate it for what it was. And the reviews of the album were mixed, though many of Europe's critics showed an appreciation for the album.
Just close your eyes and relax your mind as the sounds stick in your brain. Let only feel so strange. Just breathe and let it go. Let it go. Let go. Breathe and let it go. Let go. Let go.
And TLC's biggest fan-ran website at the time, Cyber TLC, would get their hands on an early copy, and the web's moderator, Chris, would give it a negative review, and it was his honest opinion. But apparently, his review influenced Arista's decision to push it back in the States, and cancel putting out Hot, the single that could have saved the entire Supernova era. And Lisa tried selling her album on the website, but to no avail. And back then, all you really had was your website and the people who were on it. No other avenues outside of a label to really promote your music. Therefore, it was the label's way or no way. Now, Lisa did have several live performances lined up to perform Block Party in the UK. However, the recent events of the 9/11 attacks halted all airspace travel overseas, and the label wasn't going to fork out any additional funds to make any international travel plans happen. Arista would basically tell Lisa, alright, look, you had your solo shot, and it ain't looking too hot, so you can always go back to the drawing board on your project. But look, do it later though, because you already know what it's time for. It's time for another TLC album. And as usual, that took priority. And in November, the girls would come together for their fourth album, which Lisa had came up with the title 3D to represent the three dimensions of TLC, and they recorded the song Girl Talk, which was sure to be a mega hit. And Raphael Sadiq of Tony said that Lisa had him in the studio all night working on a song called Us, which T-Boz and Chili would later say the song was about somebody passing away and it wasn't their time to, and thanking God for being alive. So when the album did come out after Lisa's passing, the song would be scrapped. And Lisa's newfound spiritually complex verses were also said to be present on the early material.
Some see the light shine bright, others see the days like it's nighttime. If you had to make that choice, would you pick the left lane or the right line?
Again, almost extraterrestrial for its time, much like that of the Supernova record. But Lisa was proud of her work, and she knew what she meant, even if it would take decades for others to grasp her concepts. During the holidays in 2001, for Gap's Winter Special, she would appear alongside Sheryl Crow, India Arie, and Liz Phair, showcasing a bit of her singing.
Love to me. There's so much that we need to share. So send a smile and show you care. Come on, give a little bit. Give a little bit of my love to you.
Unfortunately, by January of 2002, Issues with the label and money started to arise again, and this time Lisa had enough of it. She went on protest and announced that she had joined Suge Knight's Death Row label shortly before 2001 ended. She was now going by Nina, and said that Left Eye is only for when she does TLC projects. Now her label told the press that she just up and abandoned the project without provocation, which angered the fans, so Lisa herself would take to the message boards and wrote, "The real scoop is as follows. Arista breached by never paying me my back end money, which was the balance that was due to me for recording the Supernova album. What cheap tricks," which left me free to talk to other record companies. But before I can officially sign elsewhere, Arista has to grant me a release on paper. L.A. Reid and staff keep making promises saying that the release is not a problem. Yet I don't have one. But they want me to finish the TLC album. I have refused to continue working on the TLC project until they sign the dang papers. If someone from Arista truly made these false statements, then that is not a good sign, and they deserve whatever the Red Panther brings to them. It's a hostage situation on both ends, but the snakes and rats need to let it go. They released my album overseas and made money and did not pay me. Something real snaky is going on, and I don't like it one bit. If they release verses that I recorded from previous material, then they are cheating us all. But I will prevail. Nina will record regardless of what they say, regardless of what you think, regardless of any haters as well. I didn't do all this cleansing and getting skinny for nothing. What I have to deliver will get heard. And why am I with The Row? You think about it. If I can help it, the whole world would be in the bush, cleansing their dirty minds and mouths and actions. So how's life? Good, I hope. If it's sucking right about now, I recommend that you look in the mirror and be thankful. Peace out and be safe. Until next time. And that was the last statement that she would ever make regarding 3D. Now I want y'all to keep in mind the line about them reusing her old verses, as this would be prophetic. In the meantime, T-Boz would suffer a sickle cell crisis, and it led to her being in the hospital for 4 months, so the album's full production would be halted. And while I agree with Lisa's decision not to continue pouring into a label that wasn't pouring into her pockets, I feel that Suge Knight definitely took advantage of the passion. Essentially, Lisa was stepping out of the fire and into the oven. Not only was she joining his label, she also moved in with him, and the two were romantically involved. It was also rumored that she had moved Natina Reed from Black in with them as well, as Natina was in the last months of her pregnancy. And Natina's baby daddy, rapper Corrupt, was signed to Death Row at the time, so I believe it. Now, Lisa would make her official appearance as Nina on 106 & Park.
Left Eye is in TLC. Anything outside of Left Eye, outside of TLC, would be Nina.
Okay. That's it. And what made you decide to work with The Row?
Actually, The Row found me.
Okay.
So I feel comfortable over here. This is a family. You know, there's a lot of love here. You know, and you know, I don't know about the past because I wasn't there, but I'm here now, and I hope that the vibe that I bring to The Row, you know, is a peaceful vibe. You know, so.
Okay. We wish both of y'all luck.
Her demeanor was very bold, and as a matter of fact, as she considered Nina to be her Sasha Fierce of sorts.
Oh, y'all don't know Nina? My evil twin, who came from within, whom I blame all my sins on.
Lisa, or should I say Nina's, newfound personality clashed with other female rappers at The Row. Rapper SKG, which stood for Suge Knight's Girl, said that the two actually fought in the office parking lot over jealousy surrounding Suge Knight. And another rapper named Gail Gotti would throw a random jab at Nina on the remix to Ray J's Drink a Little.
And if you don't drive, then it's irrelevant. Nina, catch me whipping the new Medina, and I've been a diva ever since cars made two-seaters.
However, Nina would exercise her ultimate dominion on the song Too Street for TV, which would be featured on the Dysfunctional Family soundtrack, and Nina would get the last laugh when she replaced SKG for the cover of the XXL magazine for the May 2002 issue, which would be her last magazine photo shoot and appearance before her death. Now, she got along great with the male artists at The Row and tried to expand their minds on new things, like having candlelit studio sessions, introducing them to Dr. Sabi, and trying to instill peace in the company. But things would come to a head when she asked Suge Knight for more money regarding her solo project, and Suge, whose hands were rated E for everybody, would end up choking Lisa, causing her to promptly leave the role, never to return no more. Again, another failed attempt at a solo project by the powers that be, because they just couldn't let her be great. She would leave for Honduras one final time, where she would ultimately transition after being the sole fatality in a car wreck. Now, I have detailed the events of her trip in my documentary. Check it out if you haven't already. But Honduras was Lisa's second home. She felt more at peace there than anywhere else in the world. At the time of her death, she was in the process of setting up 2 educational centers for the Honduran children. One was built on an 80-acre plot of land that she called Camp Yak, and the other was to be titled Creative Castle. After her death, Suge Knight paid to fly everyone back to the States and said that he wasn't going to put out her unreleased music from the road just yet because he didn't want to turn tragedy into treasure. But when he finally did put out the project, it consisted of mostly acapellas from her Supernova album placed on new beats with a handful of the road's new artists, and wasn't nobody trying to hear that. Meanwhile, Arista was trying to capitalize off of the situation, because when a megastar dies, their work tends to triple in value. So they gave T-Boz, who was fresh out of the hospital, and Chili an ultimatum: either get back in the studio and finish the dang album, or we'll put out a greatest hits album. And so they would go into the studio just 2 weeks after Lisa's funeral. Meanwhile, fans would order Lisa's Supernova album on import, and certain retailers in the US would sell used versions of the albums in their stores. I remember seeing the album in Books A Million, like back in 2004, and I asked my mom if she would buy it for me, and she told me no. But fans that did have the album held it close and appreciated the body of work that Lisa had created. Meanwhile, back in the studio, the remaining members would piece together the 3D album, and it had some bops on there, but because Lisa had left the project so early in the game, just as she predicted, they would take bits and pieces of her previous verses and insert them into their songs. And sometimes it worked, other times it didn't, like on the song Give It To Me While It's Hot, where the girls are singing about lovemaking, but Lisa's verse is from a song off of Supernova talking about a man trying to take a woman's virginity, but she ain't ready to give it up just yet. Like, really, y'all? They really dropped the ball on that one. But either way, their manager would also call on T-Boz and Chili to make the painstaking appearance at the 2002 VMA Awards ahead of the album's release.
I want to start off by saying God is good. That's the only reason we're able to stand here tonight. And I also want to thank Lisa's family. And I want to thank TLC's fans. We have the best fans in the world.
This is so hard because it's such a reality check because it's only 2 of us up here. And she's so missed. But we want to thank everybody for your support and being there for us. We really thank you. We love you guys, and we know that Lisa's smiling, and we just hope that she's proud of us right now. Thank you.
The album would be released in the fall, and out of all 14 tracks associated with the project, guess how many tracks Lisa appeared on? Take a wild guess. 4 tracks, and only one of them, Girl Talk, was an original, as the other 3 were taken from Supernova and copy-pasted into the songs. And the song Quickie did contain a fragment of an unreleased verse, for an extra razzle-dazzle. The girls did what they could, and I can't imagine the pain that it must have been having to carry on without Lisa, and I admire their strength for continuing to do so. Now, Lisa's family initially had plans to release Supernova in the States immediately following TLC's 3D release, and we're going to remix a few of the songs and add Babyface as a producer and also recruit NSYNC to sing the hook on A New Star Is Born. However, those plans fell through, and instead Supernova would be remixed and released in 2009, and they would add some of the songs from Fantasy 1 in remixed format called iLegacy, which is available on all streaming platforms. It features guest artists who were hot at the time like Chamillionaire and Lil Mama, who would go on to portray Lisa in the TLC movie and tour with TLC doing Lisa's verses and tributes to her. Lisa's sister, an artist by the name of Raindrop Lopez, was also featured on the project. Fast forward to 2015, TLC would use Kickstarter to have the public fund their album and receive giveaways. It was a great way to spark public interest, and the group raised over $430,000 for the project, the highest contributors being celebrities like New Kids on the Block and Katy Perry, who had won a sleepover with the girls. The album, however, would take about 2 years to complete, and fans were interested to see if any unheard vocals from Lisa would appear on the project. Now, I had mentioned before that 3D had the 4 songs, but no interlude this time. Well, I found the interlude, as it would be on this album, and it would be the only song that Lisa would appear on. However, the minute-long snippet was taken from an MTV Buzz clip where Left Eye was simply talking about the group being compared to Belle Biv DeVoe, and to always move forward and never backwards, which was TLC's way of basically saying, hey, this is who we are without our sister. Which, after 15 years, alright man. The album did have a few bops on it, like American Gold, Scandalous, and Start a Fire, which was my favorite song on the CD. The project went on to sell 11,000 copies in the first week. Today, Lisa's family keeps her legacy alive by hosting events on her birthday, and she was recently granted a brand new 3D headstone to replace the old one. Back in 2003, her family had started the Lisa Lopez Foundation, which is a charitable group dedicated to providing neglected youth with the resources to increase their quality of life. They used her spiritual motto, energy never dies, it just transforms. Her sister, Raindrop, has teased unreleased music over the years, and featured Left Eye and her cousin Tangi in her song Riding By, and has also been teasing a Left Eye movie for some time, so be on the lookout for that miracle to one day transpire. She also decided to pick up Chef Eye in Lisa's honor, and make it into a show, but like Lisa, it's unknown what came of her efforts. So when you ask why Left Eye's solo career didn't go nowhere, it's not that she wasn't talented enough, wasn't creative enough, or didn't have the drive. She had all of those things. She was just so far ahead of her time and came up in an era where you needed those sorry ass labels, promotion, and monies just to reach an audience. These label heads held the keys to the kingdom and would dangle the carrot just beyond her reach, because in their mind, she's Left Eye, a third of TLC. Nothing more and nothing less. Whatever hobbies you want to partake in on the side is your business. But TLC, the money-making machine in which you have limited control, is your top priority. That is what you do, and that is who you are. Everything else was secondary. Today, much of her unreleased music lies in either Sony's vaults or with the Lopez family. And if they decide to do like Aaliyah's family and keep her unheard vocals private to have something tangible of hers to themselves, then that's their business. And no, we don't have to like it, but it is what it is. Lisa was said to have some songs recorded with Prince. She even spoke of doing a whole album with David Bowie, but we'll never know. Rest in peace to all 3 of them. Lisa has often been imitated, and you can still feel the powerful impacts that she left on this earth, as she is still a worldwide phenomenon, even decades after her death in 2002. Her legacy will forever live on in her family, her TLC family, and in us as fans. And speaking of, I want to give a massive shout out to The Eye Is Right and Ultimate TLC, as this documentary would not be complete without them managing the archive material over the years. In making this documentary, there were so many things I recalled, but it's very easy to lose track of the receipts, and in today's world, it's receipts or it didn't happen. But thankfully, these sites had everything on deck and more. I've left their links in the description. Check them out to learn more about Left Eye and TLC in general. But for now, this is Justified by Jury. Y'all know how to hit that like, and y'all know how to hit that subscribe. If you want to, do so. And I'ma catch y'all on the next one.